All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. We are taking the LR Meta Cooler into Red Zone GT Edition against Omega Shenron. And of course, we're going to see how he does. He's not even on rotation right now. So that's a very good start. He's not even on any of the rotations right now. One of the big things with him being in this one is he's going to have type advantage on this phase, which doesn't actually do too much damage. So he should be fine here. He should literally be a-okay. And he's also going to have type advantage against the third phase and the final phase, where Omega Shenron, of course, only super attacks once with his KO super. But the basic should still do relatively fair amounts of damage, but he should tank it just fine, even though he does raise his defense by only 30%, excuse me, hiccup. But then, of course, we're going to have that constant healing, that infinite healing that he has, which I can't wait to try right now. Honestly, like, it just adds an extra layer to team building that we haven't really had in Dokkan, like, hardly ever. Like, I've already said it, especially with specifically, you know, if you go with Cooler's 200% lead, which, of course, the LR Meta Cooler's not on Final Form Cooler's 200% lead, but still at 170 is going to perform really well, especially here. And then not only that, even if you considered 200% lead Wicked Bloodline, there are units, like, for example, the Golden Freezers, and if you take, you know, 200% lead of Terrifying Conquerors, not Terrifying Conquerors, Movie Bosses and Transformation Boost, you know, you have LR Fizz Janemba, you have Tech Janemba, also have supports. You know, those are your defensive units. Those are the ones you take to soak up all the damage with guard and damage reduction, etc. You've got damage dealers, main one leading the line is, of course, LR Final Form Cooler, because his damage output is literally like second to none. And then usually that's about it. That's as far as your team building goes. The heavy hitters, which is usually like maybe 1 or 2 units. And then you have the ones that can tank. Have you locked him? No, okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to do this because I want Janemba to build himself up, and while he can, at least he has type advantage here, so we can actually do it kind of safely to build up his passive. But yeah, that's usually the extent of your team building. But we have that here. And now we have something extra to add to our team, an extra layer of versatility, which is the non-stop healing. And in Red Zone, I've already said this is such a great addition to these teams specifically, and hopefully they do something with this going forward. This LR Meta Cooler puts out some pretty good numbers on super attack, especially at 55%. Of course, even more so as we've seen in the 200% lead showcase, even more so on the 200% lead team, you're talking like 7-8 mil. So while it's not 7-8 mil, doing like 6 to 7 is still very good on a 170 lead. Again, especially because your main thing is healing. After he supers, yes, he only raises his defense by 30% on 12 and 18 key. But he still tanks relatively well. You locked. No, you've sealed him. Why do you have to be annoying? Like, he generally could have done some pretty good damage here. Never mind, we move. He's still going to stay on rotation because we need him to be hit. Oh yeah, he's stunned. That's annoying. Because we need LR Meta Cooler to be hit to build up his passive. Yeah, he's still doing good damage on 170 lead team. Once he supers, he tanks relatively well. You know, once he's fully built up, he has like over 200, almost 300k defense. Once he supers, that goes up by 30%. It's not the most, but it does put his defense, as I said, in a solid position where he will probably survive a super attack, especially here in this specific stage of Red Zone. He may take a bit of damage, but he will definitely survive, which is the important thing. And then, not only that, he has the healing, which is the important part. As I said, it's not something we really had as an option when having team building in Dokkan, as I said, since forever. You know, you have a few units here and there, like Easy A, the Tech Easy A transforming Freezer. You know, he recovers like 15% HP every time he comes back, you know, while he's transforming. And then that's really about it. But this guy, on average, is recovering like 20 to 30% HP every time he appears. You know, he just recovers 10% HP just by being there, just by turning up on rotation. Then he gets an extra 10% healing if your HP is at 50% or below, which in Red Zone is very easy to get down to, even with the most defensive units. All it takes is the wrong unit to be hit, a few basics by some chunky motherfuckers hitting you. So that's easy to get. You know, you have the additional healing he gets. There's also the healing on the active, which, and of course, if you locked him, why would you lock him? We're just gonna roll with it. I mean, we have to. We don't really have much of a choice. You know, The extra healing on the active, which is nice, that 30%, you know, you can save it for a point where like you really need the healing to come off, you know, and use that to your advantage, use it as like a strategy, which is great. But yeah, having consistent 20 to 30% healing every turn he pops up is so helpful in an event where you're restricted to how many items you can bring, literally one, which unless you're doing a no item run is literally always just going to be a waste because of how good the damage reduction is. So your healing options are finite. Like, you literally have next to no healing options. You know, the main source of healing you can get is from, you know, the Bulma support memory, which even then that only gives you a little bit of health back, but that's pretty much your only healing outlet. And then aside from that, when it comes to the actual run itself, you're looking at same type key spheres, which do not give you a lot whatsoever. Like, you may get a rotation where, you know, orb placement's quite generous, you get like 10, 12 key spheres. Even then, that's only giving you so much HP back. And then every little HP you can muster up from picking up a few same type key spheres here and there, you know, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6. That's only going to give you so much, especially throughout the event and how much damage red zone bosses are doing to you. Then, the main one that you have, the main source of your healing, the main outlet you have, is Dokkan attacks. There are some runs you won't even get the Dokkan attack off, especially if it's a shorter red zone stage. You know, depending on your team build as well, also kind of takes that into consideration. You know, if your team build is slightly more defensive, you know, for example, even on this team, you take a lot of the guard units, Golden Freezers, Tech Janemba, LR Janemba. They're not really doing a whole lot of damage, but they're there to soak up all the damage, which of course they're very good at. So they're not doing the most damage to the bosses you're facing, which means you're in the event longer, which also can open up your risk to potentially dying if the wrong unit ends up getting super attacks, which obviously no one wants. Really? You have to dodge that? Turles has type advantage, and he was about to clap you with almost a 5 million attack stat. Was that really necessary? I mean, I'm pretty sure Cooler's got double support right now because he's done a 6 million attacks and I don't think he's even fully bought up. 125k, I mean, again, I don't think he's fully bought up, not to mention he has type disadvantage here. So 125k is acceptable. Also on a 170 lead team, but that's acceptable to me. But Tech Janemba's taken a bit of damage, which I'm not here for. At least we're going to have big bad bosses active, which is good. Much better if I do this, but Janemba loses his guard in slot 3, so that's a bit of a risk. I think the safer option's this and using a Whis. Like, I feel like it has to be done. Because Janemba just loses his guard, which it's just such a pain that Janemba doesn't guard all the time. At least if he supers, he can nullify it. But it doesn't look like we're going to be supered. No. But we could have nullified it. So yeah, your main source of healing is the Dokkan attack, which I said you may not even get. So, you know, and that's your only form of healing. And because of how hard red zone bosses hit, you can still then go back down to, like, you know, very, very little HP. And then because you've used your Dokkan attack and it takes so many turns to build it up, you literally then have no source of healing apart from the same type key spheres, which, as I said, only does so much. So with LR Final, not LR Final, I was going to say LR Final for Meta Cooler. It's just not a thing. I mean, technically it is in Dragon Ball Heroes, but here it's not a thing. But with LR Meta Cooler, you're constantly getting, as I said, on average 20 to 30% HP healed every time he pops up. And if you're running his 200% lead of Wicked Bloodline, that is 20 to 30% on average health you're getting every turn, because you can have one on each rotation. Even if you're floating them, one is going to pop up every single turn, which means you're constantly healing, which obviously is fantastic. He's up to 277. He does have support, and we do have a Whis active, so he should be fine this turn, like, more than okay, especially because he's going to super first. We're just a pixel off the Dokkan attack, which we'll be getting next turn. But yeah, so as I said, in an event where you're restricted and your healing options are next to none, he offers something extra to the team. He offers an extra layer of versatility to just attack and defense, to just, can you tank really well and like one damage dealer, maybe two. As I said, this healing is going to be so useful in an event where you have next to no options to actually do so. So I'm all here for it. Also, it's kind of fun. I'm not like constantly watching your health just constantly like almost bomb back up is a lot of fun. You know, we're not even getting the additional 5% HP, which is obviously not a lot whatsoever. 8.2, I mean, that's because we have Big Bad Bosses active and the support. This is basically the numbers he would be performing at if he was on the 200% lead team right now. Yeah, 90 damage. I mean, we do still have a Whis active, but think about how much we took last turn on a basic. Yes, we also have support, but still. That dropped down dramatically, but those are pretty much the amounts of damage he's doing, or the type of numbers he's doing on super attack on a 200% lead. We're about to get the Dokkan attack. So obviously I want to do it with Cooler, but actually no, we can do it with Cooler. I just need to avoid the support from Janemba, which I'm pretty sure I've done. Yeah, we're good. Again, Janemba can nullify, so there's that. Yeah, 40k is on basics, that's fine. We're about to heal a whole bunch. Can you nullify for that for me, please? Thank you. Thank you. Which Cooler also has a nullify. It's just a shame that hardly any bosses in the game actually do unarmed super attacks. So, I mean, when it does pop off, great. You know, red zone bosses, that probably would have killed Janemba or almost killed him. Obviously goes to 0. And obviously Cooler can do the same, but because there are hardly any bosses in the game that actually do unarmed super attacks, unfortunately it's something you're not really ever going to see, which is a massive shame. So there is that. But yeah, I mean, in terms of his healing, it's just kind of a joke. Even on the active, you're getting 30% back, which, as I said, you can just wait until you're like, oh, I've got quite low health here. There's no outlet for me to heal. You know, Cooler hasn't, you know, because we have such low health, Cooler's only taken me to a certain point. Bang, Cooler comes on rotation and he's healed you to a certain point. You pop the active, you got another 30% HP back. That's like 50 to 60% HP you've recovered in that one turn alone because of Metal Cooler. Okay, so for this, okay, we're gonna pop this for starters. I think I may just keep Metal Cooler on rotation and just float my LR Final Form Cooler off. But at least Metal Cooler has Type Advantage, plus the video's about him, so you know we're gonna see what he can do on this stage or this phase. So the Type Advantage is a big help, big help. I'm pretty sure he's fully built up. He should be. He only needs to take 4 attacks. Do this, and we'll give my Cooler these. So yeah, and obviously one thing I haven't even mentioned yet is his revive. You know, I know some people are not the hugest fans. It can be a little finicky depending on what happens. You know, some things are out of your control, especially if there's gimmicks like locks, seals, you know, prioritizing orbs for a certain unit. Or in Broly's case, you know, on the 3rd phase, getting hit by an AoE. Of course, he has no extra conditions, no extra restrictions, no, you need to be hit this many times, you need to start with this much HP. It's just, if Meta Cooler dies, if Meta Cooler receives the KO attack that kills you and kills him, he will revive. So the fact he has no other conditions means that's great, but as I said, it can be a little finicky depending on who you're facing and how the run's going on kind of outside factors. Also, just having a revive is huge. Like, having a revive is, it's huge. I'm telling you, the revive on Metal Cooler is huge. That Trump impression was terrible, but it's still huge. It's going to be huge, like the wall I was going to build. It is huge. Yeah, you know, as I said, you know, you're about to die again. You have finite amount of healing options. That was a big crit, 16.5 mil. Meta Cooler dies, bang, he's back. You have full health. You're going again. The run continues while he's still coming back every single rotation and healing. And you've got, you know, especially on this team, you know, you recovered health. Golden Freezers are tanking again because they're above the HP condition they need to, you know, have their damage reduction. So it's just this he's just a walk-in sensu bean. He is literally a built-in medic for your teams, which is great. As I said, especially in an event where you have next to no options to actually heal. And as I said, I am all here for it. I'm completely here for it. It just adds an extra layer of versatility to the teams you can build and how you want to build your team. Yes, it's only one unit, but we could see more units like this in the future. It just adds an extra layer to that, which I'm all about it, because Dokkan is mainly pretty much team building, and then animations are probably like 2 of the most important things in the game. So it adds something to that, and it's fun. you know, you're on the verge of almost being dead. Cooler comes in and just heals. He's like, yeah, cool, we're going again. We keep going. I said the only thing that's a little bit of a contradiction with all the healing, especially if you're closer to the top end or top half of your health, is if Cooler heals, you're going to end up losing big bad bosses. But obviously, because Red Zone does so much damage, as long as he's healing you up to 80% on before that, which is kind of where your health maintains anyway, he's fine. You get the health back, you get, you know, enough to potentially survive, and you have the important link of big bad bosses active. Or the, of course, the easy way around it is you just recover your health. Not recover your health, no. The easy way around it is get his links to level 10, big bad bosses at least to level 10, no HP condition, you're fine. But yeah, that was LR Meta Cooler versus Omega Shenron in the GT bosses, or the GT edition of Red Zone. Done really, really well. I mean, the type of fights definitely does help him, but yeah, he's great. He's fantastic, honestly. I think the only thing, it's not even a qualm, the only thing that would have made this guy better, apart from the obvious of, God, damage reduction, which I thought would have been broken, just greatly raised defense on Super instead. It would have made him much more defensively solid, but he's fine the way he is. He's very good the way he is. I just obviously would have preferred that, so he tanked even better, but you know, that's still kind of mad. But yeah, he done really well. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. And peace.